Hi guys, I hope you're doing really well. In this video, what I'm going to talk about is narcissists and their children, or narcissists and their stepchildren. So you might ask yourself, like, wouldn't a narcissistic parent, whether they're covert or overt, wouldn't they be worried that their child or their stepchild is going to dislike them or be resentful or hate them in the future because they treated that child so poorly, right? Wouldn't they think about that? Wouldn't they be worried that they're not going to have a good relationship with their child, like in the future, or their stepchildren? And you'd think that they would, but because they have this lack of ability to understand the consequences of their actions, right? They can't really look in the future. So I'll give you an example, the narcissist I was with, my son, who is an extraordinarily kind, very sweet, very loving human being. He discarded my son after my son had a near-death experience in Guatemala and spent a year in a hospital. And when I say he discarded him, it was an emotional discard. He still paid for some of his bills, but he emotionally completely discarded my son. And I didn't even know this until I spoke with my son later, when he kind of grew up, when he was like, yeah, he just stopped talking to me. He just ignored me. He just basically gave him the silent treatment. And when my son moved to LA, he just had no contact with him, even though he'd spent better part of a decade with this person. So he just totally discarded him, and as if he just was a piece of garbage. And again, my son is like a really, really kind person, and everyone who knows him knows that this is true. And so you would think that this person would be worried about that, like about the future relationship, about having this really nice person dislike him or have resentment towards him. He also, split up a family with 3 small children, and those children are probably going to resent him at some point because he'll discard them in the same similar fashion. I don't know when it's going to happen, but he will, right? And so kids, it's really difficult because if you bond with a kid in some way, even though it's a one-sided bond, but the kids bond with you if you're a narcissist, and then you discard them, it's very painful for children, and it can cause really for them to have lifelong resentment against you. But because they don't seem to have that ability to recognize that their actions have consequences, and in the case with my ex, I'm pretty sure those 3 kids are probably going to resent him for breaking up their family and making their parents get divorced and all the things that he did, right? And you would just think that they would think about that, but I don't think they do. And then the other part of it is they're so entitled, they're so grandiose internally that they think they're special and that the rules don't apply to them. So other people have consequences when they cheat and they lie and they gaslight, but not narcissists. Narcissists feel that they shouldn't have to have any consequences, that they're special and they're entitled, so they get to act however they want. And even if that's with their children, they get to act however they want. And that's okay because they're special. The rules don't apply to them. The normal rules of morality and decorum and decency as a parent and treating your children with love and respect and kindness don't apply, right? Because again, they also look at their children or their stepchildren as sort of like objects. These are just like wash machines or Maytag, they're Whirlpool. They're only there based on how the kids make them look. And remember, if the kids make them look bad, like in my case, my son, I'm sure that the narcissist I was with, maybe my son, he felt that he made him look bad because he had this near-death experience and he spent a year in the hospital and it was sort of a public affair, right? So maybe he thought that he made him look bad, the less than perfect family, right? I don't know, but it's sort of crazy. So, and then the other part of it is they don't have much of they really don't have a moral compass, right? So normal parents, they have some morality around the things they do. They want to set a good example for their kids. They don't want to be like a bad example of a cheater, a liar, a gaslighter, a manipulator, a financial abuser, a psychological, emotional, physical, verbal abuser. So most parents have some sort of conscience or some sort of guilt or remorse around what they do. So they try to do better. None of us as parents do perfect. We all make mistakes. I was an alcoholic and I got sober when my son was 12 years old. So like I did all sorts of things in my addiction that I'm totally have shame about. And I made a lot of amends to my son, as well as living amends to him for that stuff I did. Like there's nothing that I did in his childhood that I haven't apologized for and taken full responsibility. Like that, not that takes it away, because I still have those feelings sometimes of like, regret, or I wish I would have done something different, or I wish I would have done, differently. And that, that still happens for me, but my son and I have a really open relationship. So we talk about this, we talk about these feelings and about this. So, I don't know, like, I just don't think narcissists, like, they don't have that where they're like, oh, I made a mistake, I really hurt my kid, or I really hurt the step kid. And I need to make it right. I need to apologize. I need to take some personal responsibility. Also, I need to show this kid that adults take personal responsibility for the things they do that are less than perfect. And all of us are less than perfect. All of us make mistakes. All of us lose our cool. All of us, we're human beings. We're all a little bit broken, right? And so it's just, some of us know that we're broken, and we're trying our best to repair the parts where we're broken. Or if we can't repair it, we try to give it over to God and ask for God's help. I do anyway. So they don't accept that. They don't accept their humanity. They don't accept that they're less than perfect. And they certainly are not able to take any responsibility for the harms they cause. And their minds are justified. So probably in the narcissist, he was probably justified by being like, well, I give that kid money, so it's okay that I emotionally and physically and in every way completely discarded him. He doesn't give him money anymore, but I'm sure in his mind he rationalized that. Like, I'm helping him to pay his rent, so it's okay that I don't talk to him for a year. And when my son told me that, he was like, yeah, he just stopped talking to me. I was like, oh my God, it like broke my heart. It really broke my heart. And I felt deep regret for picking this person to be in my son's life. I didn't know who I was picking, because it was a covert narcissist who came across as so safe, so benign, so vulnerable, so even fragile. Like I've said in videos before, it really evoked my maternal instinct, and I have a lot of that. So it really made me feel protective of this person. I felt protective of my son and protective of the covert narcissists I was with. I felt like it was my job to like protect them, right? And so it's very interesting how they can evoke that feeling in you. And I don't know, I would love to hear in the comments if you guys have any of these similar experiences where the narcissist that you were with discarded his or her children, whether that be an emotional discarding, a financial discarding, whatever it was. Sometimes they can keep giving that kid money, but have no relationship with them. I mean, that's possible. I'm just saying it can be a lot of different variations, but I would love to hear some comments about the narcissists you were with and their parenting, or, if they broke up families with little children and they had no remorse or guilt or shame about it. They just keep going about their merry way. And, again, they have that 3 E's, the entitlement. They feel very entitled. The rules do not apply to them. They're special, right? You guys are all minions. All the other 7 billion people on the planet are minions, but the narcissist is very special. Rules do not apply. They're entitled, right? And they're hypocrites. So you can't cheat, you can't lie, you can't abandon, but they can do all that, right? Because the rules, again, don't apply to them. So they're very entitled. They're very exploitative. So all of their relationships are about exploitation. And you don't always know this when you're in it. Sometimes they'll exploit people like mine. I think he used me and my son to appear normal, right? So we were his mask of normalcy. We were his mask of having like a family. And now he's replaced us with another family to be his mask for whatever his other hidden life is going on there. So, they're very, exploitative. They're very entitled. And these people have a severe impairment in their empathy. They either don't have it, or it's very, very impaired. So the 3 E's, as Craig Malcolm from Harvard University talks about. I'd like to hear some comments. Chime in if you have anything to say about the narcissist you were with and their parenting, or if you had a parent that was a narcissist and, maybe they performatively looked like they were a good parent, but then behind the scenes, there was abuse or abandonment or neglect or whatever it is that they do. So thank you so much. And I hope you're practicing radical self-care.